Hi, Internet viewers. This is Frank Rauscher again. I'm doing another Q&A. This is going to be a short one, I think, anyway. What somebody had asked me, and this is what I'm trying to reinforce on things I've done before, where maybe I glossed right over how to do it. I'm going to explain. Somebody had asked me, like with the birds, where do you put the legs into the body of the bird? Okay. And in the case of most birds, you could actually get a ruler. Okay. And here's like a cardinal, and I'm going to use this. This is just a blank that has not been shaped yet. And if you went from the beak to the tail, and you can't go too far wrong on this, and you measure the length of that from here as a straight line to there in profile, and you get half the distance, you would plug the feet at that point. Now, I know that's not totally clear. What I'm going to try to do is here's one. This is a sandpiper. And what I did with the sandpiper is I got the feet in here already. I'm going to take them out so you could see. I just plugged them in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from, let me get the inches in here. I'm going to go from the tail to the beak, and then halfway is right here, and I come up. Now, remember on the pattern, most patterns have a center line for the body on the top as well as the bottom. And when you have that bottom view, you're going right down the middle. This similar to when we let me grab a pattern real quick here. I hope this will identify it. Let's hang on 1 second here. Try to iron this thing out. Let's see if I don't have a cardinal here handy. Yeah. Excuse me for not being so prepared. On the pattern, and I'm going to hold this up because I'm going to try to do everything in one view here. We had put a center line for the head, which I said whenever we're working the head, you're doing it symmetrical about that center line. It has nothing to do with the body center line, which is coming right down the middle. Now, on that body center line, you also, as I go to the bottom from the tail up and the width of the breast area, in here, we put a center line down here, which matches what would be for the top, okay, of the blank, so that it's the same both top and bottom. So you have a center line generally when you're working this, so that you can make sure that this rollover is symmetrical about that center line as well. And if you go back into my videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. At least I hope I did that. Anyway, you have a center line that comes down. So I picked the point from the beak to the tail, found the middle, and then I come over to the center line and I put a dot there. Then generally, like in the width of here, I measure about 1 inch apart. It could be a little wider depending on how wide the breast is, but you can see here what I do at that center line that I came down with. I do a perpendicular line and I go out about 1/2 inch on either side. In the case of the sandpiper, I went out just a little bit more. Maybe about 9/16 or something like that on either side. But if you got a smaller bird, say like the wren here, This guy here is littler. He's not as fat as the sandpiper. So that I'm going to give you just a rough measurement of what I used on this one. And this is about 7/8. And that is where you would locate from the perpendicular line. You go out from the center a 1/4 of an inch this way. 7/16 this way, and that's for the wren now. Now, it's a little subjective as far as how far out, but like for the wren, which is a smaller bird, generally that's not that bad, usually a 1/2 inch or something like that. The other thing I want to explain to you too, when we go to insert the feet, you also want to remember that the toes for the bird, the back toe, is toeing inward. So this one would go in this one, this hole, and the actual back toe is facing towards the center of the body. And the same way with this one. And that's how, if you're ever trying to distinguish how the toes and what goes on there, that's what you got to do. You got to get the toes facing inward, okay? And this goes in general for all birds, basically. But if you notice, they're across from each other. Now, there are going to be times, especially like with the wren, in this case, if you're trying to get something onto a setting and you can't quite make it work because it's high or low, 1 foot's high and 1 foot's low, you could, I call it cheating. The bird has flexibility, and we don't want to keep both holes in line with each other. You may want to stagger one forward and one behind, just slightly, okay, to suit your setting so that you can insert the leg into the base, okay? And that can get staggered sometimes. Sometimes it'll work just by putting them right in there, right across from each other. And then it depending on how it's sitting, you may want to raise the leg high or low or stagger that hole slightly. So that's something you have to prepare, that how is your setting? What are you mounting it to? And where is the positioning? And sometimes you can really cheat because birds tend to be able to pull their leg in, and it sort of looks like it's going into the body. So you call foreshortening. You actually shorten up the leg so that one leg works out and looks pretty good, and the other one's stretched more. And you can do that too. That's something that you have to accommodate at times. So just want to let you know, everything's not cast in stone that they're straight across from each other. So remember, in general, from the beak to the tail, halfway is where the legs go into the body, okay? And that's almost a given, okay? And now, like with the wren, I think what I'm going to do, in case anybody ever gets the patterns for the wren, I'm going to indicate a location where the legs go in, because the wren is a different animal. He has his tail going up, but if you had stretched the tail out and did it that way, you could hit dead center. But because a wren has a tendency to kick its tail up, your center, it looks like it's coming from here to here, and it's not really that. It's up here, and it's on another angle. So I'll try to identify where it should go, but try to be flexible. I would say in general, it's always going to be in the middle between the beak and the tail. So, and like I said, once you establish that and put it on the center, then it's across roughly, it could be an inch, it could be a little less with a smaller bird, a little bigger with the bigger bird, as far as from side to side, okay? But it's perpendicular generally right across, okay? So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. I may not have clarified that when I was doing the birds, and I've been asked to explain that, so that's what I'm doing here. So I hope you got something out of this Q&A. I'm trying to do whatever I feel as though I didn't clarify before, and I got some questions on it. So I want to just guide you in the right direction when you go to do this. But in general, from beak to tail, find the middle, and that's where your legs would normally go in, okay? And then according to your setting, when you're mounting it, you may have to stagger a little bit or keep it the same, you know, it works sometimes. But you also got to, how you position it, which way do you want to show the bird. Sometimes the bird doesn't want to show well in the direction that the feet want to touch the base. So you got to consider all that too. But in general, that's the rule of thumb. So I hope this clarifies it. I hope you got something out of it. And if you did, I'd ask you to give me a thumbs up. And if you would subscribe to my channel, I'm going to do some more Q&A eventually here. I want to show you some wood burning, the techniques I use, not only for the three-dimensional birds or animals and stuff like that. I'm also going to show you flat art. I've created artwork as a two-dimensional as well, and I'll show you some of the techniques on that too. So bear with me. I will get that coming, and we're going to be starting this wren very soon. I'm just still trying to get all the material I need to get together, and instructions and a whole bit, so I can guide you on that one as well. And we'll see you on the next video. And again, give me a thumbs up if you enjoy what you see, and if you would subscribe to my channel again, I'd appreciate that greatly. It really helps. Hey, I thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video.